you are enjoying the Pivot Project podcast, please subscribe. Please keep up to date with what we're doing. I really, really will appreciate it, and Kay will even appreciate it even more. On today's episode of the Pivot Project podcast, we have Misha B. Oh my gosh, I was so excited for this episode. I grew up watching Misha B on The X Factor. Now, not only is she a singer, songwriter, artist, visual artist, but she's also the founder of Museum Misha, a platform dedicated to using art for collective healing. This episode is full of healing, hope, and all the realizations along the way. Let's get into it. Misha B.
Hey.
Oh, I'm so gassed. I'm actually gassed. I actually am gassed, to be honest. Like, I don't even know. Usually I go straight into things, but I just wanted to express that I'm gassed. And we were just chatting, weren't we, about the fact that we had a convo before this. And I think I could have spoke to you all day.
Yeah, honestly, I think a yapper meets a yapper.
I know. It was like Zoom kept taking us away because we'd had that 45 minute. I was like, I'll pay for premium. I'll pay for premium. I might have to do that for next time. But super excited, obviously, you're on the pod. And again, like, you've had such a journey, right? And even from a distance, like, I could tell that potentially you're in a new era. But before we get into that new era, I really want to hear about that new era. Can we go a little bit backwards? Can you go back to little Misha?
Little Misha, gosh, the girl that coloured outside the lines.
I like that.
Always doodling in class. Always daydreaming about something other than what was going on in the lessons, honestly. I feel like I've been a big dreamer from the beginning of time. I grew up in foster care, and whilst it's not conventional foster care, I grew up with my auntie and her partner, my uncle. And so they raised me. So, you know, I look to them as mother and dad. In whilst I'd say for a big chunk of 0 to 10, I was unaware. It was only when I was 10 I found out that actually this is not your mum. You know, and between 0 to 10, I had a phenomenal time. My auntie, a hustler, you know, my uncle, a hustler. They were very focused on community in putting on. So my auntie had a play scheme that happened over the summer holidays, and we literally went everywhere with them. All the kids from the ends in Moss Side.
Shout out Moss Side.
Yeah, shout out to the ends. It was alive, you know. I had a lot of extracurriculum activities. I played football, I went swimming, I played netball. My uncle had the Saturday school, so education was very important in the household I grew up in. But it wasn't necessarily conventional education, like sit down, do this, da-da-da-da-da. And I don't think I've ever been that type of young girl to really sit still for long.
Were you like quite like well-rounded then by the age of 10, would you say? Like, pretty much doing everything.
Everything. And it's only now, as a 33-year-old woman, that I understand the importance of a child knowing how to swim.
Wow.
Because confidence, I go to spaces where there's swimming pools, whether it's on holiday, whether it's in spaces in the UK, and I'm confident. But that has reflected throughout my life as well, not feeling fearful to do things. I get it now. I get why we had to go to swimming club, you know, compete in the swimming competitions. And it wasn't necessarily about competing. It was competing with self, you know.
I knew you were going to bring bars, you know. I knew it. Sorry, even that, competing with self. Okay, let's just hold that one.
Yeah. Yeah. And so a lot of, you know, as a kid, you're very like aloof. You're selfish as kids. All of us kids, we're selfish. We're not really understanding how much sacrifice or how much they're working to provide better opportunity for us. And so much of me experiencing, like, we used to go on holiday twice a year, and I'd go America, we'd go Spain, we had family in America, but a lot of my characteristics were built on going to places like America, making friends, being in Spain, Tenerife, making friends that I'd never met before, in having that confidence to introduce myself to somebody, to, you know, I think that played a part in having the confidence to follow my dreams.
Yeah.
And I guess that leads me on to the next chapter. So after 10, I find out that I'm, you know, my mother isn't my mother, which really did shock. It shocked my system.
Of course.
About to go into high school, so my mind was all over the place. And not many people could see that other than some mentors that I had in school. And I also had art therapy in school. A lot of people don't know that.
Wow, okay.
So whilst I was, again, colouring outside the lines, not paying attention, and sometimes disruptive, I had that safe space, which was art therapy, that helped me to make sense of the chaos.
Wow.
It helped me find my voice in it as well. And so this is where I truly believe adulthood is returning to yourself, like your truest self, all the things you loved as a child, you know, and then some.
And do you think that's literally why you've gone into kind of, you know, making not just art as a musician, but like the visual artist side of things?
Definitely.
Like your work, by the way, is incredible. And
thank you.
I'm not going to act like I'm some, you know, art dealer and I know I don't know, I was going to name some artists, you know what I mean? And then I thought, let me not embarrass myself on my own podcast. But visually what I can see is beautiful.
Thank you.
But I really like what you said there about like returning back to your kind of inner child.
Yeah.
But on that journey as well, you have to kind of lose yourself. And it's interesting that you use the word like, you know, you're quite disruptive in class, but also kind of makes sense when you find out that what you've kind of known up until that point isn't what it was.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I think you articulated it perfect. I think at the time I didn't know. It's now I'm able to look back and like, right, okay, so yeah, that is exactly why your mind was all over the place, you know, and you were trying to make sense. I remember I got into a relationship in year 8, and that was my childhood sweetheart. And I remember I dumped him because I was like, well, how can you love me if like my own mother doesn't love me? Wow. And I remember that like it was yesterday. I remember that feeling and me being very tearful. And it wasn't because I didn't feel his love, but I hadn't ever experienced love outside of what I grew up knowing. And it scared me.
I can imagine. And also that kind of, I don't know, like, did you feel like a level of like instability when you found out kind of thing as well? And that
absolutely.
Did that change like your self-perception?
Yeah, and I found myself, now looking back, I went on a journey of people pleasing and like a desire to be accepted. I've never really said that out loud. And I think it's because of the inner work that I've been doing that I can see, okay, so that period in time, when I look at the friendships that I had, you know, don't get it twisted, I had some real, genuine friendships in high school. But I also had some friendships that, looking back, I'm like, Misha, that was very one-sided, you know? And I think when you're navigating friendships in high school, it's very bitchy. It's, you know, who's more popular. And a lot of what that taught me was to love myself, like to honor myself. Who are you? Who are you outside of wanting to be accepted? And then what took place was me founding a group called LTG. lyrically talented girls.
Jeez, okay.
And we had MCs in the group.
I've heard the Rosa Parks flow.
Yeah, exactly.
I was listening to that this morning. I was like, right. Okay.
So that's the origin. That's really where it began. We had MCs in the group, singers in the group, poets in the group, dancers in the group. Whilst that was short-lived, there was about 20 to 30 girls in the group. Nice. I'd say maybe that's a push, but about 20 girls in the group, spanning across the different years. And I founded it. And it really just sheds light on the fact that I had a desire to create spaces and almost mother creatively.
By the way, I'm seeing how all this is going to tie into what you're doing now, by the way. But yeah, so you created the group.
Yeah, so the group. So we did a few shows, and with anything, it has its time. And so things didn't continue with that because, again, everybody had their own levels of passion, what they're passionate about. And I always found that my passion superseded, most people's passions at that age. And maybe it's because me realizing that I'm a child in foster care, I don't really have anybody to fall back on. So I don't want to be a statistic.
Yeah.
I want to create a life I love, create a life that exists outside of the norms and the statistics that people place on children in care.
So did you know that, like, back then? Is that, like, you were already aware of, like, okay, it's either going to go one way or the other?
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of, unfortunately, the reality, right? You could be a statistic. You could just go a completely different way, and you were aware of that at a very young age.
Very young age. I feel like I always felt like I had, like, this spirit guide.
Okay.
And, the divine being the Most High, but an additional spirit guide that was guiding me ever since I was young.
Yeah.
And the voice became more predominant in my high school years.
Okay.
And having the mentors, I specifically remember a moment with my mentor. I was crying and, she said to me, she spoke life into me. Naomi Chapman, forgive me, Naomi Chapman. And she said to me, she was like, there's two roads. She goes, the road you're going to go down, you're going to inspire and empower thousands and thousands of people.
Wow.
She was like, it's more than your mind can fathom, the way that God's going to bless you. And I specifically remember it because we was at the lockers, and I remember for the first time ever, I really cried. And I allowed myself to cry, and I allowed myself to be held. And she held space for the young and vulnerable Misha that was in so many ways beautifully broken. But something happens when you allow yourself to be beautifully broken. You open up, and that's where the transformation happens. And over the following years is where the transformation happened. And it was a fight. It was a fight with myself.
It's never, next day you're fighting.
The butterfly.
No, not at all. And by the way, I just want to say this now. I know for anyone who is going to be listening to this, I know that I'll give them goosebumps and give them chills as well, because I think it's so universal. Like what you're saying, like your story is your story, but like everything you're saying right now, I'm like, I've gone through that people pleasing moment, and I'm trying to earn love from these people. And it's actually funny, I know, I'm so sorry to interrupt your flow.
No, it's fine.
When I messaged you about coming on this podcast, you messaged me back pretty quickly, and I actually didn't see it for a week. And I remember, damn, I missed the message. And I was like, and so it's been a couple of months since then. And even from then, when I messaged you to now, that transformation piece about, not being a people pleaser or not trying to earn love, something I've been going through as well. So like everything happens at the right time, right? Like,
absolutely.
Whether it's God's timing, divine timing, whatever you want to call it, like it happens when it's meant to happen.
Yeah.
So Naomi Chapman.
Chapman.
Naomi, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
She's not forgotten your last. She might have forgotten your last name, but she's not forgotten the words that you spoke over.
Yeah.
And do you feel like it was kind of like I don't know, like
when it comes to mothers as well, sometimes that kind of mothering feeling, it's not just in your biological mum, is it? It's going to be people like Naomi, mentors.
Yeah, mentors. And I found that this is how I truly believe the Most High has covered me through life. I've had so many like earth angels come up in the shape of a mother.
Wow.
So where my biological mum is absent, I've been blessed with mentor after, you know, somebody just offering love, you know. And I just quickly want to go back to me being in school. So after LTG, I then founded a new group, which was a singing group, which is, we were called Voices Within. And that spanned across a few years as well. And we performed at the school shows, we performed at local talent shows, we performed at like conferences, funerals. I'm sure there was a wedding as well. And what I started to realize was how attainable dreams and goals are. I spent a lot of time studying like the greats, James Bond.
I mean, for some.
James Brown, Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston, Shaka Khan, you know, the Beyoncés, the Jennifer Hudsons, you know, the Destiny's Child. So many different artists I was studying. And so then leaving from there now, I'll try and get through this fast. I go to college and I go and study health and social care, and I hate it. I hate it.
It's very different from everything you've been speaking about.
Exactly. And I think I did it because I was encouraged by a family member, and it worked for her.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't my path. And
Misha B don't want to be a nurse.
No, the thing is, there's different ways that I am happy to be an art nurse.
Yeah.
You know? There's different ways we can offer and nurture.
Yes, of course.
And that just wasn't my path. And so I said, right, after a year, I'm out. I met my mentor, Judith Shaw, and she told me about this music course, which was Trafford College Music Base. She was like, right, well, you've got to audition for it. So went in for my audition, got through the audition, and then I started on that course. And that is really where everything changed for me. I was still very much afraid of performing in front of people, singing wise. I think it's because it directly came from my soul.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when you're bearing your soul to people, it is frightening.
100%.
And so moving on from that, I started at the college. I started working on performance. I started to understand the music business, and I started busking in town. Like, this is one of the major reasons why I believe performance is a strength of mine.
Yeah.
Because Judith encouraged me, throw yourself in the deep end and learn how to swim.
I'm just loving, by the way, all these mentors. Like, you can make like a quote book or something.
Honestly, off of the things that they've told me. Yeah. So I'd be in town on Market Street busking. And what's funny is I remember Bugsy Malone.
Yeah.
He was out there the same time I was handing out his mixtapes.
No way.
Yeah.
I mean, Market Street's big, innit?
Right,
so you've got,
this is
your
it.
sections. You've got your sections. I was on it yesterday, innit? That's why.
There's room for everyone, but this is it. That's where all the hustlers are.
100.
Honestly. And yeah, so Market Street, it holds so many like core memories for me. People I met there, you know, the times where I wasn't feeling as confident, because you don't wake up and feel confident every single day.
100%.
And sometimes you have to kind of just pretend that you're confident on days.
And then you got people on Market Street, like, with their beer can, giving you, like, the most encouragement. Yeah. And I'm just like, yo.
You know what?
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
I'll take it. Gosh. So moving on from there now, I'm at this college, and then some scouts come round for X Factor. And when you're in a music college, we're all kind of looking at X Factor like, yeah, but that's a cheat way. It's a cheat way. Even I looked at it as that. And so we all looked at each other and was like, well, should we just go for the experience? Just thinking that we weren't going to get through. We all went. I think there was about 5, 6 of us. And we went. some of us got through the first round, some of us didn't. And then the more rounds that went, more people started dropping off. And then I was looking around, and my mentor, Judith, was like, this could actually happen for you. You know, she believed in me nonstop.
Yeah.
She's like been one of the main driving forces of like my own belief. Because in the seasons when I haven't believed in myself, it's her belief. And she has this way of teaching you. So I felt like I was at boot camp before I even went on X Factor because of the things that she was instilling in me, making me sing everywhere and anywhere. So it made sure that I was prepared, I was equipped. And I think what a lot of people don't understand is on your journey coming up, this is where the gems are.
Yes.
This is where the real richness is found, because the tips and the tools, you're sharpening everything.
Yeah.
You might go to a place. So let me give you the example of Market Street. You're out there, you're in front of people you don't know. You don't know who's going to come up to you, and you know, there's drunken people on there.
All of them.
There's people that don't want to hear somebody hollering on Market Street.
Yeah, it sounds like you heard that.
Oh.
Sounds like that was something that got quoted.
Right. And the thing is, I think, whilst I didn't necessarily hear that, I've seen it when I've stopped to see other people. I've seen people be pretty disruptive. And I think that's the thing that builds character.
Yeah. You know, I used to do sales and marketing, Misha.
You did?
And I used to sell
Wow.
vegan food on Market Street. Like, who wants to pay 20 quid for like, well, I mean, people did, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I love that.
But like, I heard some stuff. That's why, like, oh, shut up, man.
Innit?
Get a real job.
No, and I think that was it. But I think as creatives, we're always told, be realistic.
Yeah.
You know, how's that little job going?
Yeah.
How's your little hobby going? And I think it's in those seasons where you really get to dig deep and see who you are.
100%.
It's like a battlefield out there.
Well, this is the thing, because when you actually like went on X Factor, like how old were you? Were you like
19.
So you'd been preparing way before then, because I said this to you. I remember watching you on X Factor and being like, "Ooh, got a bit of culture on X Factor." I was like, "Who's this girl? She's got soul. I like it." But you came across back then like, yeah, you were prepared. Like you'd been in this kind of, like you said, boot camp for a while.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like you were like just some young spring chicken, even though technically age-wise.
Yeah, it was.
You were only 19.
Yeah.
But anyway, carry on, sorry.
Yeah, I think you've articulated it perfectly. I was preparing for a long time, and it wasn't necessarily that I was preparing for X Factor, but I was preparing to become a worldwide, world-renowned recording artist. And I have to echo all the time, it was never about fame.
No.
Fame has been the last thing on my mind from the beginning till now.
Yeah.
For me, one of the slogans that I had then, which is still on like my old Facebook, is I aspire to inspire through the power of music. And that was always my thing. I think because of the challenges that I navigated, and I had music and art, those were the things that brought me peace.
Of course.
They helped me make sense of things. I saw how powerful of a tool they were. I knew that, okay, well, if I can sing, then I can also share and possibly help other people. So the X Factor journey happened, and gosh, it was like a dream and a nightmare in one.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, and I don't know the ins and outs of what happened, and more so in the sense of you got the opportunity to become a recording artist.
Yeah.
That all came true, but then
The
you
press,
know, it's a TV show at the end
the
of
narratives, the lies,
All of
the false accusations.
It's a lot. For a 19-year-old as well. Not even, to be fair, like, I think it's a lot for even like a grown-ass woman. I don't think as, you know, 29, 30-year-old woman, it's a lot for them. So as a 19-year-old, when your brain's not even developed yet, Misha.
Right.
No offense.
No, for real.
Your brain doesn't develop until you're 25. And I'm still thinking that maybe it's later because, you know, I keep learning things every single day.
Same.
Honestly, it's mad. I'm like, God, these executive functionings are taking a bit of time to executive function. So you're going through all of that. And like you said, it's a dream and it's a nightmare. And then obviously it's been about 12, 13 years now.
We're coming up to 15 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, 2011.
Clearly maths is not my strong suit, because
No,
you've literally just said 19. Anyway, nearly 15 years.
Yeah.
So the chapters in between then.
So what I'd say is, after the X Factor, so I got signed.
Yeah.
I got signed to Relentless, which was a record label under the Sony umbrella.
Yeah.
And I was only supposed to be with them for one single. And the first single ended up superseding expectations. And I think...
Home Run?
Yeah, Home Run,
Oh,
Home
yeah,
Run,
I was listening to it. I listened. It was a banger. It was a banger back then. It's a banger still today. I was listening to it this morning.
I do love Home Run.
It is a banger though, isn't it?
Yeah, shout out to M&EK.
Yeah. And also like your dancing in there is good as well.
A little something.
Okay, listen, I'm not going to embarrass myself now, Misha, and start singing.
I have to show you some of the moves.
Oh, girl. Get those for the... no, I'm joking. Yeah, go on, sorry.
Yeah. Where was I? It's my mind just... Okay, so Home Run is released. It, I think there was a little, or a concern at the record label that the negative press that I received would impact my sales. And so when they didn't, the record label was like, right, okay, well, we could try for another single.
Yeah.
And then I did a song called Do You Think of Me, which was, very rooted in my navigation of my mother wound. And that one went to number 9 on the official UK charts. So again, on a unit basis, it outdid Home Run.
Yeah.
And so they're like, oh my God. I can imagine that, with record labels, A&Rs, it is a units game. And
100%.
I think as artists and creatives, where our heart is in everything that we do, we're not necessarily looking at that. No. We're more so looking at people enjoying our offering, which is the art.
Sure.
So Do You Think of Me went on to do exceptionally well. I'm on tour with Nicki Minaj. And yeah, that tour experience was insane. I opened up for Nicki Minaj and Tyga, and I specifically remember one thing. There's a lady called Lorianne Gibson. So she's worked with everyone from Janet Jackson to, I think Beyonce. And she watched the opening, and I remember the first night in London, I opened and I come off the stage to her with her arms wide open. And she said to me, she goes, baby girl, it's not about where you're positioned on a lineup. You set the tone. And I think if we look at life like that and life's opportunities, we'll always be okay. Because I carry that now. It's not about where you're positioned on a lineup. It's about what you bring. And that sets the tone.
That's mad.
Right?
I'm actually speechless.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
All these women in your life coming out with
the gems.
And when you heard that, like, it obviously did speak to you.
Yeah.
But was there that feeling of like, okay, well, when am I going to be doing, like, before she said what she said, when am I going to be doing like my headline show? Or what was the kind of feeling when that kind of came out?
I think I was probably overwhelmed because of how much I respect her. She's an icon in her field, in the dance field, in the choreography field. Yeah. And somebody that is so driven and her heart is solely on the art of, dance and expression. I can only admire someone like that. And so I think I was taken back. Like, I didn't even know she watched the show, for one. That's mad. And so that really took me back. But also it echoed to me that I'm on a journey. And it's not a rush to get to that finish line, because what is the finish line?
True. And also, what, you were like 20 something?
Right, I was 21. You're
still a bambino.
Yeah, literally.
Like you're a baby in your career as well. So it's like everyone, like especially these young people now coming through, they think they gotta be, I don't know, a millionaire by the age of like 25, and I'm like, behave, your brain's not even developed yet.
Yeah. And I think it is, I say with the younger generation, it's because we have way more access to things that will catapult us into more abundant fields. But one of the things I've learned from my own life experience is don't be so quick to grow up.
Yeah.
Because when I was 15, I thought, I think we all kind of like romanticized growing up, and then we grew up and realized it was a bloody scam.
Yeah. Who set the rules for us?
Right.
That's what I'm feeling now. And then you get to even like when you're just about to turn 30, you're like, can I just rewind a little bit and be like, can I be 21 again?
21.
But if you're like, you're 21, you're opening up for like Nicki Minaj, for a lot of people, that would be like a life goal or a life dream or something that they achieve when they're like 30 or something.
Yeah.
You're kind of like ticking off things very early on at that age.
Yeah.
So now you're 33. What happened like after
in between that?
Because you were still obviously releasing music as well. But I feel like there was a bit more of a...
Yeah, so let me get
Sorry,
to it. No, you're right. I think it's important to touch on this part.
Yeah.
Because I don't see enough of artists talking about their hiatuses.
Yeah.
Why is the hiatus? What does it look like? And so I'm happy to talk about it. So for me, I went on tour with Nicki Minaj, then the record label tried to squeeze another single. And because I don't feel the integrity around the music of the third single that they squeezed was right, it didn't do well.
Happens.
So it didn't land with the people. And after that, they were like, well, our pot's dry. And
suddenly.
Yeah, all of a sudden. But, hindsight looking at, I was only supposed to be with them for one single. So being with them longer than that, it was a blessing, but more so a blessing, we figure it out. At the time, I was having conversations with my manager about potentially leaving the record label. And because there were conversations about me either being dismissed or shelved. So shelved in industry terms is just kept on the record label, but nothing's going on. And I think that is so disheartening for artists.
Of course.
Because you want to just create freely.
Especially if you're like in the studio like every day.
Exactly.
Like you want to see something
materialize,
you're putting in,
Exactly. And so I made the decision. I think it was like a mutual decision all around. The A&R was like, well, you've got the freedom to decide what you want to do. And so, parted ways. And I specifically felt okay with that because I had management and I didn't think what transpired next would happen. So I still felt a level of safety because you've got a team around you. So the record label's now not a thing anymore. And, there's the option to explore different deals. And my manager at the time had let me know after I did Wembley. So I opened up for a game, Manchester United, actually.
Oh, your voice would have just absolutely,
It honestly that was a dream come true because I'm a proper United fan through and through. Love of football.
Man, you.
Glory. So I'd spoken with her and she said to me that the heads of the management, they don't look after unsigned acts.
Oh, okay.
So this is where it really got heartbreaking for me, devastating. Then we had conversations about her potentially like just going guerrilla with me. Do you know what guerrilla means? Like just me and her toughing it out.
Yeah, 100.
And I don't know what happened in that time, but she then turned around and was just like, you know, kind of in no man's land. Wasn't really being transparent about things. And yeah.
I feel like this is also from speaking to a lot of artists now, even like independent artists who've been signed.
Yeah.
This seems to be quite
A reoccurring.
a familiar narrative to a point where I was literally speaking to an artist the other day, and they were saying like when they got essentially, I don't like the word dropped.
Yeah, no, but the thing is, I think it's industry terms.
It's
Someone
industry
got,
terms.
yeah, you got dropped.
But again, it even feels like you just said, that most times it is like either a mutual decision, or again, like there's a lack of transparency there. And then the artist, when they get quote unquote dropped. What a shitty term anyway. What do you mean dropped from what?
Yeah.
Dropped from like money hungry. No, I'm joking.
Right? No, but but and I think it's heavy on what you said, because one of the things is, I think, being so young and definitely unaware of a lot of things, so much to learn, naive, that thinking that, well, I spent this amount of time with this person or this team, and they've benefited from this amount of money that's come in, then, and there's been emotional moments where I felt connected to them, then surely they're not just gonna, but that is the nature of the business.
Sure.
And in this business, you're very blessed if you find a handful of people, the number on your handful of people that genuinely have your back, that genuinely hold space for you.
And it's not just money.
Yeah. The focus isn't money and units. And, however, I say all of that. With the management situation, I felt very betrayed. But I also then had to continue to do therapy and understand and unpick and unpack that. Am I feeling abandonment because of my mother wound?
It's gonna either way, it's gonna hit harder, right? Like
Right.
that's the reality of it. And someone who's done quite a lot of therapy myself, but, I still got to find the right one. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes you go and you're like, I feel worse. What's going on? But that self-awareness piece, again, from when you were younger, even at, in your 20s now, being self-aware and kind of thinking, okay, is it a deeper thing rather than
what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Because remember, we see everything through our trauma lens, wherever our trauma is, how much trauma it has been dealt with. And so whilst two things can be true, I definitely was left.
Yeah, of course.
However, I also have an abandonment wound. And now it means that I've got to work through it. And so I can see things clearer.
Yeah.
And after doing the therapy, I realized that whilst I felt connected to my team, record label team, management team, and mainly my specific manager at the time, because she is a black woman, and she was with me from the beginning of my journey after X Factor and me being signed. So we, there was a very tight-knit relationship there. I was able to take a step back and see that she is a black woman in an industry that isn't necessarily as kind. So let me take a step back and clap. Let me take a step back and clap and be happy that she's finding her footing.
Wow, okay.
Because I think sometimes we look at things too personally. And it was never about me.
No.
And it was more so, sometimes people have to move into different positions without us.
Yeah.
And the different parts of our journey require different people and different mindsets, different outlooks. And I'm just really glad and happy that I'm at a space and in a place where I look at her with love.
Wow.
And gratitude for the time that we spent. Yeah.
There's two things that came to mind. So by the way, I am not a visual person. I know you are, Misha.
Yeah.
But I do think in words. So the two quotes that kind of came into mind was that, when people say like friend for a reason, friend for a season, and obviously not necessarily a friend, but like a manager. And I think it's also, it's complicated, right? Because you do develop friendship there. There's, family, like you're working with this person. It can be quite a convoluted relationship. I think anytime you've got that dynamic. But then the second quote that came in my head was that, like, let go, let God.
Yeah.
I know for me, like, for the majority of my life, I've really struggled with letting things go. So even when you said about, certain people, they're there for that part of your journey. And then for other parts, like, just let them go. Yeah. I genuinely have probably really struggled. Like, I've got to, I feel like I'm getting really personal now. I'm like, Davika, it's not even about you.
That's fine.
I've really struggled with attachment issues growing up. And I think even as it's something that I'm working through, like, sometimes you just need to, like, let them just go.
Yeah.
And just let God do the rest. So anyway, sorry.
No, but I think heavy on the let go and let God. And I think as somebody that has always been rooted in faith and my relationship with the Most High, it's, for me, I always knew that I was taken care of. And whilst flesh, so human beings, again, beginning with my mother, whilst there's that element of people not necessarily being there in the capacity that I would like, God has never left me. And his hand on my life, in my life, has always been present. And it's one thing that I've never doubted. I've never been without. And I truly think, and I truly have to give thanks and praise for how God has covered me over these years. Because I'd be lying if I said I didn't go through it after that. I kept that to myself for a very long time. This is the first time I'm even speaking about that on a public platform. And I think I've kept it to myself because I'm a pretty private person, to be real with you.
I mean, I know, I know there's nothing, Misha, I can't be doing no research. There's nothing out there to research. A lot of it was more just an inkling from maybe like recently where you have done some public speaking for the first time, sharing a little bit about, like, and again, I didn't even know the ins and outs, but I just could tell that it's almost like you've taken some time to really heal, to really work through things, maybe through art, maybe through everything, music. And so I respect the fact that, again, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, actually kind of dealing with that on a personal level, because all of that is probably why you're able to do what you're doing now and what you're about to do.
Yeah, definitely.
You had to go through it, girl. You had to go through it, didn't you?
Listen, you have to go through the fire
Misha B's
sometimes.
been through it.
Yeah, honestly. I feel like I've been through the fire, and what you're seeing before you is the phoenix rising.
Jeez! Oh my gosh. The phoenix is looking fresh.
Thank you.
Sorry
Thank you.
sorry for interrupting.
Don't be silly.
So you went through it.
Going through that, I think you take a battering, and what I went through privately was depression. I think my anxiety skyrocketed.
Major.
And, I specifically went through a season of stripping. And when I say stripping, I'm not talking about pole stripping or like stripping my clothes or anything like that. But I mean, like, everything was being stripped around me. The friends that I had, the people I was around, I started to make choices that felt in complete alignment with where I was supposed to be. Like, I was allowing my spirit to guide me. listening more to spirit and drowning out the noise of everybody else. Because I think when you're signed and you've got management and so many things, you've got a lot of cooks in your kitchen. Do this, wear that, talk like this, don't say that, da 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 da. And you can lose yourself in that.
I bet you just wanted a bit of silence for a little bit. You've been busy.
Yeah, it was hectic. And again, I even had people around me that didn't see me. They saw Misha B. They saw what it meant to be aligned with Misha B, what they could get, because my nature's very soft. I'm a giver. And if I have, you have.
Yeah.
And a lot of people along the journey have taken that kindness for weakness. And
kindness is a freaking strength.
It is, man, it is. But you also have to know how to protect yourself as 100%. Well, especially if you are that way.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn that through some terrible lessons.
Yeah.
But I'm wiser now. So that navigating different seasons of the depression, the PTSD that came from the X Factor, and the different things led me to a place of, who am I? What am I here to do? What is God telling me to do now? And so whilst I was doing shows here and there, whilst I was floating around and, to be very transparent, the gigs stopped, when the music is not coming, the big budgets are not there, 100%. Things start to dry up, and that's something I believe more artists should talk about.
Yeah.
Things start to dry up and you've now got to look at, okay, well, where do I go from here?
And also, where do I get that income from?
Yeah.
Let's be real, right? And again, I've been chatting, like I said, I'm not an artist, but I've been chatting to artists.
Artists, yeah.
And, you got to learn how to diversify.
Right, no, for real.
Got to learn how to secure the bag.
Absolutely.
And not just from gigs or brand deals or whatever.
You've got to get your hustle on. And
listen, like your auntie said, like your auntie was hustling.
Yeah.
You had to figure out a way.
And it's all of those things, those mentalities, that mindset, those examples that have taught me now to sustain myself and to sustain a brand.
Yes.
As well. Because one of the beautiful things is, because my X Factor journey was such a public one.
Yeah.
And again, what I navigated, a lot of Black women are navigating.
Of course.
It was felt on a universal level.
Yeah.
And speaking about it in 2020, just after the death of my gran Henny, let me rewind. So I spoke about it in 2020. This is around the time Black Lives Matter was just, up, running. There was a lot of chaos in the world. George Floyd had just been murdered. And there was, I think Sandra Bland had been murdered the year before that. So there was like this onslaught of just like hate crimes. And my gran had died and my granddad had died. And I went to go and live with both of them.
Wow.
So a lot of my healing, a lot of the love that I desired came from them, came from the way that they loved me, came from the way they cared for me. It came from the things that they taught me, the small but mighty conversations. My grandma teaching me how to cook things, my granddad teaching me how to cook things. The love that I desperately wanted from my parents, I got in full from my Gran Henny. My granddad didn't spend that long with him, but through his teachings, he took me everywhere with him. He taught me how to make Guinness punch, how to make steamed fish and okra, how to make fried dumplings. His fried dumplings were amazing.
I'm starving now.
Honestly, no. He taught me how to make carrot punch. My granddad was a big chef, and a big part of my healing, in a way, in losing them back to back. So my granddad died, and then a couple of months later, my gran died.
Do you know what's crazy? I don't know if you remember
Our conversation.
My granddad died, and 4 months later, my grandma died. Literally, like
Like that.
back to back. And I remember when we were on the call, we spoke about unconditional love.
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, that's what like your grandma had taught you, like unconditional love. So I, by the way, really relate to what you're saying. And sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, so just...
Grandparents love, man.
I know, and I think, do you know what's crazy though? My gran Henny isn't my biological gran. She's Judith's mum, my mentor's mum.
So
and
mad.
I have to rewind a bit, because when my auntie who raised me, you know, she went through her own stuff.
Yeah.
I was very much in no man's land in terms of support. And that's when Judith came in, when she took me and, you know, encouraged me to go for the audition at the music college. Then Judith introduced me to her mum.
Wow.
And I went from living at the house that I was raised in to then living in a room at Judith's house.
No way. So she literally took you in.
Yeah,
literally.
yeah. And then every day after college, I'd go home to a plate of food at Judith's mum's house, which was up the road.
Wow.
And I remember she'd called sometimes saying, "Where are you? Your food's on the table." And I think having that care and that love and just that place to call home, you know, because even though Judith's house was the house I was living in, it was Gran Henny's home that made me feel home here. And her love. And it was Judith knowing what I needed. And so the labor of love between the two of them is very much why I am who I am today. And so my Gran Henny, her unconditional love, she taught me how to garden. I remember going in the gardens with her. She used to have some beautiful rose bushes. And she taught me the importance of how to cut them, you know, her hedges. Everything she did with care. The way she cut, she had one particular knife when she was cooking. And the knife, it didn't seem sharp. But I tell you what, it sliced through everything. And she took her time. I remember both of them are Jamaican. And so they'd make like Jamaican dishes for the soul food. And I remember one time when I was learning to make Saturday soup, which is like a staple in our culture. She got green bananas, and she goes, make sure you just cut up everything for me. Bear in mind, it's my first time cutting up the green banana. And I'm thinking, I cut up the green banana like planting. So I've cut it right. And so I've cut it in like small, sliced it. And so she's come in the kitchen and she's looked in the pot. And she just laughed till she cried. She laughed. She goes, Misha, you really cut up the green banana like say a planting. And basically the green banana, you cut down the back of it.
Yeah.
And you just put it in the pot.
I love it. Do you know what it sounds like though as well? Like it sounds like, obviously I know you were like learning all these like life skills as well, but just a lot of healing.
Absolutely.
And also not even like, because healing looks different to everyone, right? But I can relate to that kind of like the simple things in life.
Yeah.
Like the things that you would do back home.
Yeah.
As in like for me, it'd be obviously back in India or just like things that you do like food related. Like I had in my brain, again, I'm not a visual person.
Yeah.
But the way my grandma would just sit there and cut onions in the living room.
Yeah.
And you can never do it like her because they're so quick. And I'm like, even
that's
when you
years.
okra,
Okra. Ooh.
she'd be cutting up the okra, like everything, like.
It's like those years of them perfecting that. And I think we will become like them in ways. And that's why we have to take on the traditions and the cooking. And that's why I feel like when my granddad died, I really dived into cooking more because it's the way I felt closest to him. And yeah, so my granddad died, my gran Henny died, and my world was just, it just felt like
Hollow?
empty,
Yeah.
empty. And those were my places that I'd go to. Sundays, they were my safe places. And like not necessarily having those spaces to just go to just even just sit in the garden or just sit and like ask them questions, tell them about your day. And because I used to speak to my granddad about everything, and not necessarily having that was really hard to navigate. Really hard. In the following year, my dad died. My gran Henny passed, then my dad passed. And when my dad passed, it knocked me for six. Because whilst I knew he wasn't well, I didn't know that he was given a period of time to live. And it wasn't until I had a dream. So I have quite a lot of dreams letting me know something's happening or something's about to happen. I've always, yeah, absolutely. I've always had them since I was little. So I'm always that person in the family that's calling people like, oh, you know, is this going on? Because I had this dream, you know. Anyway, so I call my uncle and it's like, well, I had this dream like about my dad, and he was like, oh, it's not looking good. You should come and see him. Bear in mind, I had gone my whole life without my biological dad. And so I'd only recently met him and started to like form some kind of relationship with him. And we had dreams of going to Jamaica, swimming in the seas. And so me going to see him, like he's literally on his deathbed. You know, he's bedridden. He's, you know, various different things. He could barely talk, you know, he couldn't see me. It was, I don't even know what word to use. I feel like heartbreaking is not even the word.
It's like you're grieving a relationship that you've just formed as well.
And then you begin to grieve everything that you know you're not going to be able to have. Me getting married, me giving my kids a grandfather. Anyway, so my dad dies. Before my dad died, I was painting. And so I'd show him the pictures, and he was, you know, he messaged me saying, stay in those colors, you know. And that for me has been something I lived by ever since he said it to me, because I know what that meant. Maybe he didn't know that I was feeling depressed, but when you're depressed and somebody tells you to stay in those colors, it reminds you to stay in your light.
Yeah, and your work, from what I've seen, is quite vibrant.
Yeah.
It's not like it's, do you know what I mean? Like, you didn't choose just like blacks and greys or whatever. Like, everything's really colourful. And would you say, because I know you mentioned that you've always been kind of like doodling, artistic, but when you was going through the depression, is that kind of art therapy part too?
Yeah, absolutely. That's that. And I didn't realize it at the time, but after I had 10 paintings to look at, I was like, oh my gosh, do you realize that this has been healing you?
Wow.
Because it was healing me. You know, I'd turn my phone off. I wouldn't go out as much, but I was at home. It was locked down, you know, and I was painting. And I was like, actually, you know, this is the beginning. And so my dad passed, and I'm still painting. I'm still navigating the seas of depression, but more so through grief.
Yeah.
Because grief brings its own depression.
100%.
And I'm navigating that through painting. You know, I've been blessed with the opportunities to share my works, you know, have people buy my works. And I'm like, right, well, if this is what it's doing for me, how can I use my platform? Because the platform never stopped growing. You know, people still find my music or find things that I'm doing, and people are invested in my journey. How can I offer a platform that is going to offer healing for everyone else?
Yeah.
And so it's been in the works, me thinking about, right, okay, where do I start? Because I started off just showcasing my art. And I was like, well, it can be more than that. And then this is where Museum Misha was birthed. And the idea and our mission has just blossomed over time. And our mission is collective healing.
Wow.
It is wellness through creative expression, community, culture, and that looks like immersive experiences, immersive events, workshops, you know, catering to people that don't necessarily have spaces that offer them healing.
And you did your first event.
We've had our first event.
Woo! Have you seen like a little bit of a theme here where, like, you know, back in school where you were like, I created this like group and then I created this group. So the creator in you has been there. So it made sense that eventually when the time was right, like you said, you had to do it for yourself first, a lot of internal work.
Yeah.
Which is always ongoing as well,
Yeah.
right? It's never like, okay, you've done it and then, okay, great. It's like you unlock one thing and you're like, oh, got this other thing I need to now do a little bit of work on. And, do you know what I mean? As we grow as well. Tell us about your event and also kind of like what's coming for Museum Misha.
So the event was on the 30th of August at the Melanin Market Summer Pop-Up. Shout out to Bianca. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. So we had a sound, sip and paint workshop where we had gratitude circle, we had sip and paint elements, sound, we had our affirmation station, and it was really curated with the intention of wellness. You know, a lot of the people that were there had expressed that they needed it. You know, some of the gentlemen that attended were saying this is a space that they never knew they needed outside of the busyness and the chaos of fatherhood.
Yeah.
And that is when I was like, right, alignment. Because it's not about me.
No.
It is about the collective healing and continuing to open up spaces, create spaces where collective healing is the focus. And through creative expression, you don't have to be an artist.
No.
In fact, even better if you're not. Find the artist in you because there is one. There's an artist in every single one of us.
And it just might look different for different people.
Exactly.
It's really funny you say that because I always say, oh, I'm not creative. And I'm like, well, no, actually, I actually am. But it just doesn't come out in nice visuals. No one's going to be buying my visuals anytime soon, Misha.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
They'll be like, I'll be like, it's just about, about that one. But it is true. It's finding the art in a way that is reflective of you. But you also sang, right? That particular event.
Yeah, I did.
It's so great because it's like blending all parts of you as an artist.
Yeah, and all the elements. And whilst going forward, it won't necessarily be me performing. I think it was important for us to set a precedent of what to expect.
Yeah.
Again, we have our next event in October.
I'll be coming to that.
Another one in December.
Ooh.
And then for the, you know, there's going to be an onslaught of events.
So you're already like...
Yeah. I think one thing I've learned about being a creative is you've got to be ahead.
100%.
You know, I've already planned the events for next year.
Oh my gosh.
So, and by the way, I still do make music. I'm still writing.
I was just really wanted to like, I know like, I'm like looking at our producer because she's giving me daggers right now because me and Misha could talk all day. So I really wanted to ask this, right? Because I kind of knew that I'd seen you in like studio and things like that. And so where does music sit within it, or does it not sit within it? It's just another facet of you. Like, tell me where the music kind of...
I think you're right. I think as a creative, we wear so many different hats. In being an artist doesn't just look like me being a singer.
Yeah.
It looks like me being a creative director. It looks like me being a facilitator. Ooh. It looks like me being a teacher. Ooh. And it looks like so many other things that I'm learning, you know. And I think one thing I want to leave with is class is never over. Education is key. Class is never over. And so I encourage anybody watching this, like, continue. we are now in an age where courses are accessible to us. Now, if you don't have the funds, there's a lot of free courses accessible to us. And what I found is the more I've dived into different courses, the more my mind's expanded and the more I expand in the world.
Damn. You really just like dropping the gems. Misha, I think, you know what? I think you're going to have to come on, give it a couple of months after you've done a few more of these events. I think you're going to have to come on for part 2.
Absolutely.
Because I have fully been schooled today. I feel like I've been fully schooled. I'm not going to lie. So you're still writing.
Yeah.
You're still going to be, so we can expect some Misha B.
Music, absolutely.
Are we expecting Misha B, or is it just going to be Misha? Like,
it's interesting.
A whole other thing?
Well, so this is it. I think, you know, I'm a writer as well.
Yeah.
So I have some exciting things in the works.
Keep your eye out, guys.
Yeah, just keep your eye out. I think I'm a creative and I'm going to be till the day it's my time to leave this earth.
Amen.
And so, yeah, just follow Museum Misha.
Follow Museum Misha, guys.
And just keep your eyes out. And Davika, I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you for your willingness to show up because you are so important. You know, your platform is so important. Hearing stories. I love that it's called the Pivot Project. Shedding a light on how we as creatives have pivoted. And again, I love how the interview's gone. You're a gem. All my support, all my love.
Guys, Misha B just said I'm a gem. You know what? Dream big. That's it. That's the quote. It says dream big there. Do you know what I mean? Misha, the final thing we do, we hold hands. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
And basically, this is what we do at the end of every podcast episode. Is continuity, guys. Basically, we're going to say, when I say 3, 2, 1, when I say 1, we're going to say, here's to pivoting more in 2025. And then, you know, it'll be 2026 soon.
Yeah.
You ready? 3, 2, 1.
Here's to pivoting more in 2025.
Yeah!